Clune Arena, the site as the Air Force Falcons get ready to host the Boise State Broncos. Boise State comes into this matchup 13-14, Air Force 12-13. Happy to be back home alongside Gene Parker here at Clune Arena. I'm Roland Vargas. Gene, both of these teams very evenly matched. We'll take a look at that in the stat comparison here in a moment, but this is a game that really could go either way.
And you're right. They look the exact same with their record, with their player personnel, and all their stats top to bottom. And this is crucial because they're both fighting for a spot to get to the top of the Mountain West Conference, and this is critical down the stretch for the season for their seeding into the postseason tournament.
Yeah, this is where it starts to get really important in the Mountain West. We'll take a look at that head-to-head comparison. To your point, just about even Steven all through this board.
And it's tough to differentiate between the two teams, but one thing that really stands out to me, and really the only statistic that is different between the two teams, is the rebounds per game. That means Boise State's going to get after the glass on the offensive and defensive end. So Air Force really has to focus on that, get back to fundamentals, box out, grab the ball when it comes off the rim.
And you talked about cleaning on the glass. Aladi Lalat, leading scorer for Boise State, hasn't attempted a three-pointer. Everything that the young lady from Paris, France does is down low. She's a real presence inside the club.
And she's more of a traditional forward that we've seen in years past. Now in the game where she seems to stretch out, post her, shooting threes, she stays inside, sets strong screens, gets her teammates open, and down the stretch
Boise State. Osley yells out a scream as he sets up the lot. As the Broncos back up three.
This evening at Camry Heath, she was the leading scorer when these two teams faced each other earlier in the season. She had 17. It was a really good performance from Camry Heath.
And look for Boise State to zero in on Camry Heath. Now we're at the point of the season, we're at the second matchup between teams, so they're going to go based off the previous matchup. She had a wonderful game, so look for her to create a little bit more for her teammates. And if she can, towards the end of the game, get these shots again.
And that game that we mentioned, that was a 60-55 win for Boise State on the 26th of January. When we come back on the Mountain West Network, it's the Broncos and it's the Falcons from Clune Arena. Back at Clune Arena, ready to get this one tipped off. We will take a look in just a moment at the starting fives for both teams. For the visiting Broncos of Boise State, they will go with Mary Kay Naro, Anna Osley, Aladi Lalat, who we featured in the pregame, Natalie Pasco, the freshman guard out of Danville, California, and Abby Muse. That will be the starting five for the Broncos. And for your hometown Air Force Falcons, a very familiar five: Madison Smith, Camry Heath, Dasha McMillan, Nikki McDonald, and Joe Huntemer running the point as she always does. Our referees this evening: Charles Stein, Rigo Vasquez, and Denise Lopez. Boise State controlled the opening tip. Pleasure to have you along with us from what is a pretty snowy Clune Arena. Had some snow yesterday in Colorado Springs as Air Force forces an early turnover. Joe Huntemer eyes up, gives that basketball off. Air Force will run their offense. Nikki McDonald gives it back to Huntemer. Huntemer surveys, gets some movement from Camry Heath, finds her with the basketball. He thought about giving it off to Smith. Sorry, Gene.
And Boise State playing a lot of pressure defense, forcing Air Force into tough shots and forcing them into a turnover. So we see both teams come out with strong defenses and forcing turnovers on both ends of the floor.
Yeah. Madison Smith with the early turnover. Boise State get the basketball into the hands of Anna Osley, junior guard from Scottsdale.
Boise State running two scripted plays on their first two offensive possessions here. Air Force reacting well. As we said before earlier in this broadcast, this is the second time teams have played each other. So as you can see here, the scout, Air Force is reading the scout really well. They were about to come away with a turnover, but actually ended up with an offensive foul there.
Joe Huntemer with the basketball. There's an offensive foul called against Boise State. Huntemer gives it off to Camry Heath. Camry Heath, nice little move, high arcing shot, gets her first one to drop, picking up right where she left off in Boise.
And that shot was early in the shot clock, but good read by Camry Heath there to do a nice pull-up jumper.
Boise State, Muse getting a little bit tied up, needs some help. And that's going to be Bit of an unforced turnover on Boise State. Abby Muse just had nowhere to go.
And Air Force coming out with a fiery defense that's really putting the pressure on Boise State. I don't know if they're not prepared for it, or Air Force is just executing their scout flawlessly right now. I think, it's been 3 offensive possessions, 3 turnovers.
Yeah, it's been awkward so far for the Broncos. Madison Smith now for Air Force. Both teams wearing the pink warm-ups today. Air Force with their alternate pink uniforms. Mid-range J. Falcons get that one to fall. Nice piece of basketball there, Dasha McMillan.
And Falcons switching the floor back and forth twice, able to move the defense, wear them down a little bit, and get another easy jumper.
Boise State looking for Lalott down low. Nice play. That's pretty unstoppable. She's going to pick up the basketball in that kind of area.
Yeah, and if Joe Huntmer's against Lalott, you're probably going to go to her every single time. So look for Boise State to run more of those pick and rolls, see if they can get a switch and the mismatch inside.
You mentioned their struggles early in this game offensively. You could see right there they just wanted to find their leading scorer in Lalott. She took care of the rest. Air Force, 10 on the shot clock. Basketball in the hands of Camry Heath. Heath defended well, lost her dribble momentarily. Falcons got to get a shot up, and I mean now. Air Force with the turnover. That was Dasha McMillan just trying to get herself some space.
And I think on that possession, Air Force was reading the defense well, but they weren't being aggressive. Nobody was looking to score when they had the ball. So they were trying to be unselfish, but almost to a fault.
State right in front of Air Force head coach Chris Gobrecht. This is Natalie Pasco, freshman out of the San Ramon Valley High School there in Danville. Three's going to go up from the Broncos. First one of the evening. That one off to the left. Boise State, though, earns himself another possession. Anna Osley, junior guard from Scottsdale. She'll try a high arcing 3. That one just off a little bit to the other side. Madison Smith brings down the rebound.
And Boise State, for all their turnovers that they've had so far, they're still in this game, only down 2, so they're getting it done on the defensive end, making Air Force a little bit uncomfortable. They've given up a couple of easy shots, but other than that, they've held them really well.
There's big contact away from the basketball. Referees let that one go down low. Smith on the drive to the right-hand side. That one swatted away. I think that was Abby Muse that got a piece of that, the junior from Brentwood.
And Boise State, on every pass, they're looking inside for the lot. They're very well coached. If your best player is on the inside, you want to look to see how you can get her the ball.
Great deny from Joe Hunnemer. Head always up. Finds McMillan in stride. Beautiful play from Joe Hunnemer. That one made in the 808. McMillan finishes. Air Force extends their early lead.
And with Air Force throughout the season, we've seen them get better and better at their defense, better and better at their game plan, and another offensive foul drawn. And so we're seeing them perfect what they're good at. And down the stretch, you have to do that. If you're a good three-point shooting team, shoot three-pointers. If you're great in the transition, run transition offense, and that's what Air Force is doing right now. And Boise State need to adjust to that and understand that they're going to play aggressive defense and make sure they get open and they go back to their fundamentals and read the defense if they want to stay in this game.
Air Force tried to force that one back into Joe Hunnemer. Boise State come away with it. Slowed up, well defended by Nikki McDonald. That's not where they want Lalott to be receiving the basketball. Sets a hard pick. Referees let that one go. Nice little finish.
And again, that's where you can use Lalott. She sets excellent screens. She knows exactly where to go, right up against the defender, and her teammates are doing a good job of coming directly off the screen, leaving no space, and that got them an open jumper.
Lalott, a 6'1" junior out of Paris. Went to high school, actually, in Southern California. Lalott takes the rebound, but snatched right away from her. Air Force right back up. Headsy play by Nikki McDonald.
And those are the plays that you need to do. Just smart, headsy play. And Lalott should have kept the rebound high. You're taught that from probably 5 years old. So good heads-up play by Nikki McDonald.
Yeah, she brought that one right down to her hip, did Lalott. And McDonald just snatched it right away from her. Air Force will make their first changes of the basketball game. Milani Perry coming in, also Faith Shelton. Shelton, the freshman from Stockton, California. Milani Perry, freshman as well from Tampa.
Another pick and roll action with Lalott, and it works that time. And you see what was key there was the guard read her defender. Whatever a defender does on a screen is wrong. If she goes underneath, you step back for the 3. If she goes over, you take the drive, look for the roll. So great read on Boise State's end on that pick and roll.
Anna Ostley with the 3 for the Broncos. 8-7, the Air Force lead. This is Madison Smith. Over to Joe Hunnemer. Taken down toward 10 on the shot clock. Perry with some movement, thought about the 3. Awkward shot, but Milani Perry gets it to drop.
Good job of Milani Perry creating on her own. The 4 other Air Force players, though, were standing around. So good job on Milani Perry, but just a little bit more movement by the 4 other players off the ball would have created a much bigger lane for her.
Great body control from Perry. Ostley with the hot hand. Drives, McDonald with the rebound. Joe Hunnemer pushes to Faith Shelton. Shelton quickly out to Madison Smith. Madison Smith's going to launch a 3, defender right in her face. Lalott with the rebound. Air Force almost jumped another one. Madison Smith went for the steal. Driving is Mary Kay Narrow, junior guard from Beaverton. Milani Perry, a little strong.
And gosh, I think these players are hoping for a timeout. There needs to be a dead ball or something. They've been playing for almost 7 straight minutes, and they're very well conditioned at this point, but oh my gosh, 7 minutes is a long time.
Altitude won't phase Boise State as much as some. This game very end-to-end. Madison Smith slows it up, gives it over to Joe Hunnemer.
And good choice by the Falcons to slow down a little bit on offense, because as I was saying, you're getting a little winded. You've been playing for 7 straight minutes, so set something up, get a good shot from the corner, and I like that from the Falcons. They work the ball side to side, get a good wide open corner 3.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad look, just a little bit short from McDonald. This is Lalott. Air Force doing a good job to deny her the space where she wants to be getting that basketball. Smith poked that one away just a little bit from Pasco. This is Pasco. Nice little extra pass and a good finish from Abby Muse.
Excellent pass there by Mary Kay Narrow. She probably learned that from our club team that we both played on, Clutch Players out of Portland, Oregon. So shout out to them. They do an excellent job of reading the defense as she was able to show there.
Flexing your muscles early in this one.
I know.
I like it.
I got facts up my sleeve.
Faith Shelton cleans up that one. The initial shot was short. Faith Shelton going to earn herself a trip to the free throw line.
And I think offensive rebounding is so key in this game and in every other game for Air Force. And we're going to take a break here, but it just takes a little bit of heart. Faith Shelton right there, or excuse me, Nikki McDonald, smart heads up play. Air Force is up by 1 on the Mountain West Network.
First quarter just flying by here at the Air Force Academy. Do you get it? Flying by Air Force Academy. Yep. 2 minutes, 15 seconds left. Air Force at the line. Faith Shelton. She cleaned up the offensive glass and then was hacked on her way back up. Shelton this season, 52% from the charity stripe. A little strong on the first. Air Force with a 10-9 lead.
And it feels like Air Force should be up by more. I think they're playing really good defense. Their offense is not matching their defense, but still doing really well. But Boise finding a way to hang around, and I think Air Force needs to figure out a way to put them away and build that lead, go from 2 to 8 really quickly here by the end of the first quarter, and I think just really bury them early so they have no chance of coming back. 6
turnovers already from Boise State. We saw a lot of those really early in this basketball game, but to your point, Air Force not able to capitalize the way that they would want. Taylor Britt, one of the Air Force changes. She handles the basketball over to Perry. Perry back to McDonald. This is Shelton. Now Kayla Pilson getting her first minutes of the nice little crossover, drives to the right-hand side. Good strength from Kayla Pilson. Felt the contact, finished anyway.
And on that drive, Kayla Pilson was looking to score. She wasn't looking just to drive to the block, get near the basket. She was looking to score. That's what we need to see out of all 5 of Air Force's players, because they're all very capable of scoring.
Good finish right back down the other end from Natalie Pasco. 5'10" freshman from Danville, California. Taylor Britt, Shelton. Perry. Perry forced backward. Taylor Pilson picks up the basketball. 10 on the shot clock for Air Force. Boise State pushes her to the baseline. Faith Shelton, nice first step, gets it to fall.
And good job by Air Force making sure they get more aggressive towards the end of the shot clock. I was about to say that nobody was taking a dribble towards the basket, but then Caleb Pilson took that one dribble and was able to create for her teammates.
Quick whistle going against Faye Shelton. Inbounding the basketball for Boise State, Tatum Thompson, freshman from Woodinville, Washington. That's just the northeastern part of the great city of Seattle.
You are correct with that.
It is.
I am from that area, and you are correct.
Got a lot of players out of the great Pacific Northwest, as you would imagine, at Boise State. Good defense from Air Force, swarming. Caleb Pilson almost jumped that passing lane. 5 on the shot clock. Drive to the baseline. Is that one going to count?
Unsure if it's going to count, but Air Force did a good job for about 20 seconds there of defending the read and react offense of Boise State. They're doing a 4-out, 1-in, or maybe 5-out motion there, and just reading when they were cutting out. Air Force did a good job of that, and Caleb Pilson, I think, just got a little too greedy and went for the steal when it wasn't right there and caused that foul.
Emily Adams checked in for Air Force. On that last play, it was Lindsay Lavrovich for Boise State. Another whistle. That one is going to count. That's Tatum Thompson right on cue. Gets that one to fall. She'll head to the line.
And looks like the Air Force coaches are questioning whether she was in the motion of shooting, because in the NBA game, if you get fouled and you're on doing a layup and you take, your 2 steps and you score, that's the continuation. But in the college game, you have to be in the act of shooting. You can't be turning to shoot. You have to be shooting. So I think that's where the Air Force coaches are a little bit frustrated there.
Just 39% from the line is Thompson, but buries that one.
Air Force with the last possession here on offense. Smart move by Boise, putting in a little bit of pressure so Air Force can't just walk it down and set something up. They're getting them a little bit outside of their comfort zone with 6 seconds left.
Alani Perry forces that one. That's well short. Caleb Pilson read it, but just not able to bring it under control. 1.8 remains in the quarter. Air Force basketball.
And I don't know if a mid-range fadeaway jumper is what you want at the end of the quarter. Use the screen, create off it. Alani Perry may not be the one with the shot, but she could get somebody else that shot.
Pilson, not sure she had time for that dribble. Got it off, would have counted. In the end, just a little bit short. Boise State 16-15. They lead here on the Mountain West Network. Do not go anywhere. Second quarter comes your way next. Back at Clune Arena, just about ready for the start of the second. Air Force down by a point to visiting Broncos of Boise State. 16-15, Boise State, they lead. Air Force inbound the basketball right in the hands of Joe Hunnemer, right where they want it. Now Madison Smith. Boise State started this game pretty cold from the floor, but just chipped their way back into it. Got themselves a lead right at the end of that first.
Yeah, and again, we were talking at the break. I think the Falcons should be up. The way this game is going, I think they should be up, but Boise State just hanging around, playing good defense, getting rebounds, and finding ways to score on the offensive end.
The turnovers really added up for Boise State in the first as Lindsay Lavrovich gets fouled. Lavrovich, the sophomore from Gig Harbor, Washington. Went to Peninsula High School, home of the Seahawks, right there on Henderson Bay. She will go to the line. Lavrovich this season, 40%, just 2 of 5 from the stripe. Too strong on the first. Gets the second one to fall. Boise State's lead now 2.
And I like the move here by Boise State, again, to go into pressure. It just gets the Falcons, you're not going to get them totally rattled, but it took 8 seconds off the shot clock now, so they have 8 seconds less to get into their offense. And Air Force is the type of team that likes to work that shot clock and work the ball around. So now you're just giving them less time to get into it.
Just a different look for Air Force to deal with this 8-drive baseline. Offensive foul against Madison Smith. Yeah, I didn't see much there. Might have been an extension of the right arm, question mark?
Yeah, maybe she went into her defender there, unsure of the call. But the call is made, and as a player, you have to, shake it off, even if you wholeheartedly disagree, even if you go back and film and see that wasn't the correct call. It is what it is, and you have to move on.
Didn't seem like there was an awful lot there. Air Force almost creating another turnover as they try to pressure Boise State. Broncos get it into the Air Force half. Lavrovich lost the basketball a little bit. Everyone looking for the carry call. Wasn't forthcoming.
Yeah, and I think that might have been a pretty obvious carry call there, but good job of Dasha McMillan boxing out on that last possession, and that is so key, because imagine just your morale just sinking. You don't get the double dribble call that you think you should have. Boise State comes down with an offensive rebound, and then they go on to score, and now you're down by 4 points. So good job of Dasha McMillan saving that and keeping the momentum at bay from Boise State.
Camry Heath, a little bit of energy, quick move, nice step into it. All tied up again, now it's 17.
And I like the call of going to a set play. If your Air Force, if your offense is a little bit all over the place, as we see another offensive foul called, we've seen, I think that's the 4th or 5th one of the game. But if your offense is all over the place, you're struggling to score, go to your set plays. Go to something you've been practicing since October. And everybody knows exactly where to go. They know their looks, hopefully by this point in the season. So it's a good way to calm everybody down and get back into your offensive rhythm.
It was Tatum Thompson called for the offensive foul, pulled out of this basketball game right after that. Seen a lot of changes for Boise State. We'll run through those and the corresponding geography momentarily. Dasha McMillan now for Air Force. Nikki McDonald down low, scoop shot, just a little strong.
Good ball movement there by Air Force as well, but they just need to be a little bit stronger when they go up on those shots. Don't shy away from the contact.
Nice move from Jada Clark, cut right through the Air Force defense, high off the glass. Got it to fall, the sophomore out of Richland, Washington. Southeastern part of the state. It's about an hour west of Walla Walla, I'd say.
I think you're right.
Where does Walla Walla rank on town names in this great country of ours? Pretty high, I'd say.
At least top 10 for sure.
At least. Basketball back in the hands of Clark. Boise State looking down low. Air Force slaps that one away. Camry Heath out and running. Stops right at the free throw line.
Great move.
Defender just went flying by, eyes in the back of her head. Camry Heath starting to heat up.
An excellent move there by Camry Heath. And it's very hard to stop on a dime like that without traveling. So great job there of reading the defense and keeping her team in it right now.
She just loves that mid-range area, does Camry Heath. Basketball right back to Heath. And again, right on cue, that mid-range. That one just a little bit strong. Air Force fighting mightily for it down low is Nikki McDonald. There was a lot of contact. We play on. This is Jada Clark. Had the three if she wanted it. Instead gave it off to Trista Hull, sophomore forward from Yakima. Another turnover forced by the Falcons.
And Air Force has scouted Boise State very well. They know that they're going to look inside every time, so they have their help side defense there, and their post players are working their tails off to get in front of the Boise State post players and make it as difficult as possible to throw in passes to the inside.
Something that you noticed in the pregame during warmups, just the height of this Boise State team as they were able to take advantage of it there with Lavrovich down low, but Air Force denying the basketball, swarming around, giving space on the perimeter. When they know that there are players that are not going to take long-distance shots. Boise State make 4 changes back into the basketball game. Lalat, player that we featured in the pregame, will stay Air Force ball, as that was an awkward one coming right into your living room there. Colonel Larry Hinken taking the contact down low. Basketball in, free throw line. Fight for it. Lalat might have gotten a piece of that one as it went up from Emily Adams. Basketball quickly down the other end. Hard fall for Osley.
In the foul there on Camry Heath, she didn't get in front of her girl. I think if she would have been 1 to 2 steps ahead of her, set her feet, she would have been able to draw the charge there. But since she was running alongside her and bumped into her, a lot of body contact, that's where you see the foul going up there on the shot.
Ostley 83% from the line this season. Junior from Scottsdale. Makes the first. 22-19, the Boise State lead. Pleasure to have you along with us on the Mountain West Network. A little strong on the second. Camry Heath not bothered with the rebound. Heath now running the point for Falcons as Joe Huntermer takes a position in the corner. This is Milani Perry now for Air Force. Perry, nice move to create some space. A little short though on the jumper. Rebound brought down by Abby Muse.
And Air Force is down 3 points, and I like their poise here at this point. They're not trying to get, you know, a 10-point lead all in one possession. They just know they need to score, get a stop, get another score. So they're doing a good job of mentally remaining in the game. Unfortunately there, Mary Kay Narrow with the three from the corner.
Nice shot by Narrow. Sure looked like a travel in the buildup. That's what head coach Chris Gobrecht was speaking to the referee about. Joe Huntermer takes some contact. It's Mary Kay Narrow that fouls her. Air Force want to bring Kayla Pilson back into the basketball game. They'll be able to do that just now. She will replace Dasha McMillan.
And I like the move. Kayla Pilson has the size, but she has the athleticism to draw out the Boise State post players. And since they're traditional post players, some people might take offense to this, but they may not be as quick as some of the guard players. So Kayla Pilson has that quickness. So go 4 out, 1 in, use the screen off Kayla Pilson and give it to her and see if she can make something out of a one-on-one against a post player.
And Pilson also with the tenacity defensively to help combat some of that size from Boise State. Rebound brought down by Muse. Boise State out and running. This is Muse again. Forced out to the right-hand side by Pilson. A bit of a soft reach going to be called against Kayla Pilson. And with that, we will step aside. Boise State extending their lead 25-19. They lead over the Air Force Falcons. Don't go anywhere on the Mountain West Network. Six-point lead for the Boise State Broncos. 4 minutes, 44 seconds remain in the half. Roland Vargas alongside Gene Parker. Pleasure to have you along with us on this Thursday evening from the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs on the Mountain West Network. Boise State to inbound. They do just that. They reset, run their offense. This is Mary Kay Narrow. Gets the basketball off to Ostley. Ostley, dangerous pass back to Narrow. Ostley. Joe Huntermer defending her well. Quickly over to Heckman. Heckman checking into the basketball game, the redshirt freshman out of Burns, Oregon.
Not sure what happened there, but I do think you want to cover your girl the entire time. So Air Force, I think, got a little bit lost, and Milani Perry was on one of the posts for Boise State. So Air Force doing a good job of holding him off, but got lost there at the end.
Yeah, it seems like there was supposed to be a switch defensively that just didn't come as Taylor Britt gives that one off to Perry. Inside of 4 minutes remain in the half. Huntermer looking for help, finds Taylor Britt. Britt with just 1 on the shot clock, forces it up. Boise State control.
And if you're at the end of the shot clock and you don't have a great opportunity, drive towards the basket. At least try to draw a foul towards the end of the shot clock, because the defense is going to be tired. Don't settle for a jumper.
Boise State. 8 points their lead. Lovely pass, just flying out of nowhere. Abby Muse swat that one away. Air Force will make a couple of changes. Camry Heath and Nikki McDonald come back into the basketball game as we take another look at the Thursday evening block party here at Clune Arena. That one just...
And great read there by Kayla Pilson. Taylor Britt was in the right spot at the right time, but just flat out effort there by Boise State, not giving up on the play.
He's had a lot of space to close, did just that. This is McDonald now for the Falcons. Joe Huntermer slows things down, trying to create something offensively. That one blocked as well.
Another block. And again, Air Force is getting good looks, but I don't think they're as crisp as they should be. That pass should have been there a half second earlier, and she could have got the shot off.
Ostley, a little bit of space opened up, knocks it down.
And I think if you're Air Force, let's go to a set play here. Like we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, set something up that you know, get back into it, cut the lead down to 8, and get back on defense.
Cameron Heath for the Falcons. Tries to create some space, forced to give it over to Kayla Pilson. 10 on the shot clock for Air Force. Timothy McDonald did a good job just to control that basketball. Cameron Heath gonna have to force the issue. Beautiful shot from Cameron Heath. Step back, had the lot right in her face.
And I like how Cameron Heath took it upon herself to score. If you're the best player on the floor, you want the ball in your hands and you want to be able to score.
Foul's going to be whistled before the shot. Alati Lalonde taking some contact. There's Taylor Britt picking up her first foul of the evening.
Yeah, just she was trying to fight through the screen there and had a little too much contact. So now if you're Boise State, you have 2 minutes left in the quarter, you're in the bonus, I just say do pick and roll all day long and just attack the defense. Try to draw those fouls. I think Air Force is getting a little bit winded at this point because that's why we're seeing the uptick in fouls. So just attack them and see what happens. Worst comes to worst, you get good shots on the inside.
A lot. Not super confident on that first free throw, just 58% this season. Able to make the second. Couple of changes for the Broncos. Natalie Pasco back into the basketball game. Also Jada Clark. 2 minutes remain in the half.
Boise State going back to that soft pressure, but just taking a little bit of time off the clock for the Falcons.
Huntermer looked for the movement from Cameron Heath. Heath forced to curl back for the basketball. Back to Huntermer. 3 on the way. Big shot from Joe Huntermer.
And great job by Air Force driving with intent, like you're going to score. That draws in the defense, and shooters just have to get into the right spots.
Mosley. First over, had to cross back to her right hand. Joe Huntermer right on top, just to almost Waffle House that one. That thing was smothered and covered down low. No chance as Huntermer.
And that was all ball, and she knew that. Doing a good job of Air Force, kind of reviving here at the end of the quarter, hoping to close that gap heading into the half.
Mosley quickly over to Clark. Jada Clark inside of 10 on the shot clock. This is Muse. Muse sees it taken away from her by Joe Huntermer. Wilson thought about the 3, decides to slow things down for the Falcons.
And it's only a 2-possession game here at this point, being down by 6. So smart move there by Kayla Pilson, slowing it down, not forcing a 3. It would have been awesome if it went in, but a little bit deflating if it didn't.
Heath gets 2 and the foul. She'll go to the line to cut it to a 1-possession basketball game. Huge shot again from Camry Heath. She's now into double digits for Air Force.
Gosh, if I'm Camry Heath's teammate, she just makes it so easy at the end of the shot clock. She has to get open. You just give her the ball, find some spacing, move off the ball a little bit to give her a little bit more, but she's able to create on her own, and that focus to be able to get fouled and finish it on a jumper, that's some pretty good talent there from Cameron Heath.
Boise State coaching staff talking with the referees, imploring them to go and take a look at something, and they will do just that. Air Force down by 4, 30-26. Boise State, they lead. Just 52 seconds remain in the half.
Yeah, and I'm unsure if they're discussing time left on the clock or if Cameron Heath was in the act of shooting. I would guess that they're looking here at the time left on the clock. So we'll probably have around anywhere between 50 and 55 seconds. So if you're Air Force, play the best defense of your life. We're going to assume that Cameron Heath scores her next free throw. So you're down by 3 at this point. Play the best defense of your life. If you go into the half just down 3, I consider that a win. Coach G is obviously going to have a few choice words, but that's coaching. That's no matter what. Even if they're up by 20, she would have something to say. That's what good coaches do. But the way that they're playing midway through the second, if they come away, well, I guess only down by 4, it would be considered a win. So they really have to lock in on defense here.
Boise State into the Air Force half. This is Jada Clark quickly. Natalie Pasco with the 3. Muse just snatches the rebound. There was some contact as she went back up. Her shot goes through. 34 seconds remain in the half. 32-26, the Bronco lead. Camry Heath, nice move, feeling the confidence coming over to swat that one away, though, was Lavrovich.
And this is kind of flipped. Now Boise State is doing a great job on defense in their scout. They know what players are going to do. So if you're Air Force, you have to work that much harder and get that much more creative. If you know what your tendencies are, assume that the opponent is going to know that and try to mix it up a little bit, just like Joe Huntmer is doing here. Nobody really expected her to shoot that three. It was a good shot here at the end of the half.
And of course, coming off of making one the last time down for the Falcons. 6 left in the half. 32-26, the Boise State lead. Basketball's got to go up quickly. It does just that. Good if it goes. And that will be the end of the first half here at Clune Arena. 32-26, Boise State, they lead. Don't go anywhere. Halftime show coming up on the Mountain West Network next. Back at Clune Arena on the campus of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Falcons down 32-26 to the visiting Broncos of Boise State. Boise State looking to win their second game in the Mountain West over Air Force this season. Courtside alongside Gene Parker, I'm merely Roland Vargas. And Gene, that was a bit of a fragmented first half. Boise State really awkward early offensively, but then they were able to find a bit of a rhythm and kind of pull away from Air Force.
Yeah, and I think it's just a classic case of the second round of league play because these teams know each other. You have two veteran head coaches who really know what they're doing and do a good job of adjusting in game, and that's what we saw. As you said, Boise State came out a little bit slow. Air Force was firing on all cylinders. Boise State made an adjustment on offense and on defense, and they were able to get back into the game. And at this point in the season as well, some players off the bench may be a little bit more effective than starters because starters you have much more film on. So if you've seen a player throughout the season develop and get a little bit better, whether it's in shooting, pick and roll, their defense, this is the point where you can throw them into the game and where they can really excel. So this is really exciting to watch because it's really just a slugfest. Each team has to grind it out into the end. We're probably not going to see a 10 to 20 point win for either team. It's probably going to be a 5 to 10 point win at that point. So I'm excited. I know it's maybe frustrating for both teams, both fans, both sets of parents, on either side, but it's really exciting to watch because it's more of a chess match between the coaches and how well these players can execute.
And you mentioned the scouting, and that kind of, for better or for worse, was kind of slowing this basketball game down a little bit. Obviously, these teams having faced each other earlier in the season, that, to your point, just a 5-point win for Boise State. We'll take a look at some of the stats from the first half here at Clune Arena. Air Force really smothering early defensively. They kept Boise State very quiet, but slowly and surely Boise State able to extend their lead, and then Air Force really came back into it toward the end of that first half.
And two things that jump out at me on the Boise State side is 52% field goal percentage. That's wonderful, but usually teams can't sustain that throughout an entire game. If they could, one, they'd either be probably scoring layups every single time, or they're just the most incredible team and, they're head and shoulders above the rest of their league and the rest of the teams in the country. So I don't expect that to sustain here in the second half. The turnovers, though, Boise State has 10 turnovers, and they're ahead by 8 points. That is just a testament to their defense, forcing Air Force into 35% shooting. And I think a little bit of that is coming from Air Force's slower offense. They're not as crisp, but also Boise State is flying everywhere. We have just seen so many effort plays on their end to get to blocks, to get to rebounds. So Air Force just needs, to dig a little bit deeper. It's exhausting and it's tiring at this point in the season, but I think they just need to dig a little bit deeper and step up their effort at this point in the game.
We'll take a look at some of the highlights from that first half. Camry Heath on fire early for Air Force. She finished the half with 10. Obviously the leading scorer in that first matchup that we featured in the pregame. 5 of 8 from the floor was Camry Heath. Loves that mid-range. Stretched the floor for Air Force. Constantly the offensive spark for the Falcons.
And Camry Heath is doing what a senior needs to do. She is stepping up. She has the most experience on the team. I think, personally, she's one of the top 2 players on the team as well. So give her the ball at the end of the shot clock and when you need to get your offense going.
And for Boise State, they had contributions throughout the lineup. Jada Clark played really well in that first half. It was a half that we didn't really see Alati Lalat do an awful lot. Only 5 points for her in that first half, but some of the mantle being picked up by other players. Boise State really spreading the scoring around. The leading scorer for Boise State, you get a good look at her right here. That's Osley. She has just 6 for the Broncos, but they've gotten contributions all throughout their lineup. And at the half, they lead. Keys for Air Force coming out early. Gene Parker in the second half.
Very solid defense. Know the scout. Whatever the coaches tell you, that's how you play your player. If they start to go off on shooting, then adjust from there. But solid defense, and just get one score. One score coming out of the half, and get yourselves back in it.
32-26, Boise State lead. Don't go anywhere. Second half comes your way next on the Mountain West Network. Second half just about ready to get underway here at Clune Arena. Boise State with the 6-point lead over the United States Air Force Academy Falcons. Good look there at Air Force's leading scorer this evening, Camry Heath. Talked about her exploits in that first half during the halftime interval. Boise State looking to begin the second how they ended the first. Into the corner. Osley. Joe Hunnemer for company. Osley to the left-hand side. Air Force slaps that basketball away. Hunnemer got a hand on it.
And good job of Air Force coming out of the half, very strong on the defensive end. Knowing that they want to go to La Lotte, Nikki McDonald was working her tail off on the inside. And just being able to recognize that and adjust to it. So make them do something different. Make them shoot threes, which they don't like doing. So good job of Air Force knowing the scout and coming out strong.
Madison Smith with a lovely move. Big basket for Air Force, trimming that Boise State lead to 4.
And that's the Madison Smith that we like to see. Aggressive, going towards the basket, looking to draw contact, but going straight through it.
Tasha McMillan whistled for the foul. Inbounding for Boise State, Abby Muse, junior forward from Brentwood. Went to Heritage High School, home of the Patriots there in SoCal. Camry Heath looking for the steal. Boise State able to get in behind Air Force, and cleaning up on the offensive glass was La Lotte.
And that was excellent execution on Boise State's part. They missed the layup, but then again, that effort that we saw in the second half, we're seeing again from La Lotte and all her teammates. They're just getting to rebounds and loose balls quicker than Air Force is.
Madison Smith, quick fire 3, way too strong. Air Force though cleans up. Earns a trip to the free throw line. Good positioning from Dasha McMillan down low.
In Air Force getting a couple of really good shots here to open the quarter, and Dasha McMillan continuing to fight on the inside. I mean, I can't tell you how valuable it is to get an offensive rebound, but to give your team an extra possession, that's going to matter when it comes to 2 to 3 minutes left in the entire game, because you have 3 or 4 more possessions than the other team.
Hunnemer to inbound the basketball. Needed some movement, got it from Smith. Smith gives it off to McMillan. Corner for McDonald, back to Madison Smith. Nice move around the left-hand side from Madison Smith.
And Madison Smith really making her presence known here at the start of the second half. She was a little quieter there in the first half due to foul trouble. So a good job of recognizing that, and just, you got to attack Boise State. You got to see if their defense is, all just pressure, or if they're able to stay with you the entire 30 seconds and entire length of the floor.
Yeah, quick fire 4 points for Madison Smith to open up this second half. La Lotte only able to push that one out. Air Force not under any pressure. Joe Hunnemer calls out the play. Hunnemer wanted Nikki McDonald, found her. La Lotte came out to defend.
And you see the post clearing out to open up more space for Camry Heath to work. I mean, we talked about in the first half, Boise State is a very lengthy team. They can cover a lot of areas. So the posts for Air Force, they need to step out. And the great news is for Air Force as well, their post players can shoot the ball. So they're a threat on the three-point line. So they need to go out and guard them.
Just off from Air Force, Madison Smith, careful not to give away too much contact. Joe Hunnemer got her fingertips to that one.
And Boise State playing really fast right now. And I think they just need to slow down mentally and get settled in, because it's easy just to kind of let it run away from you and just play out of control. You need to play fast but under control.
3, little strong. Lalott with the rebound. Early whistle down low.
And I think that was an example of playing fast. We saw Mary Kay Narrow comes off, read the screen. She wasn't off balance or anything. She was very balanced, shot that shot, and then Lalott doing just a great job of getting in position and just fighting. She's just a bully down there, really, and just trying to look to get all of those rebounds and steal them away from Air Force.
The Falcons looking to change up the look defensively. They bring in Faith Shelton. She goes straight into watch over Lalott. Air Force swarming around defensively, 10 on the shot clock. Nice little give and go. Contact down low. Offensive foul going to go against Abby Muse, who is bemused by that call.
And Madison Smith doing a good job. And again, this goes back to the scout and knowing the team that you're playing. They were looking for that pick and roll all day long. And Madison Smith, knowing that it's going there, gets into position. And most times, if you're in the right position and you take a little bit of contact, the referees are gonna reward you for that. And we're seeing that here. It wasn't the most contact. I wouldn't say it was the hardest foul, but nonetheless, she had the hustle. She was in the right position, so she got rewarded for that. So good job on Madison Smith's end of reading what the offense is doing and just reacting to it. If a team has a habit like that, just react to it and make them pay.
Trista Hall checks in for the Broncos, sophomore from Yakima. Went to LaSalle High School there in the Great Pacific Northwest. Home of the Lightning. Hunter wants movement, wants Cameron Heath on the other side. Heath creates some space. Faith Shelton goes with the left hand.
That was a really good take there by Faith Shelton to shield herself and shield the ball away from the defender. So that was textbook, even though the shot didn't fall.
Lalott, 3 from Boise State, well short. Jared Honemer picks up the rebound. Camry Heath loves that mid-range again. Camry Heath, she's got 12.
In Air Force, I'm going to speak to their defense right now, because Boise State has been getting good three-point shots, but it's not what they want to do. I was a three-point shooter, and at Boise State, they're on a scoring drought of 2 minutes and 28 seconds. I was a three-point shooter. I loved scoring three-pointers, but if you forced me to take a mid-range jumper, I could do it, but I was just uncomfortable, and that's what Boise State looks like. They're just a little bit uncomfortable with the shots that Air Force is giving them.
That one, to your point, well short with Boise State. Happy to hear the whistle. Take a look at it.
It looks like just, contact coming around. I think Joe Hunter, again, getting a little greedy, and this is the downside of how Air Force plays defense. And you have to take it with the territory, because if you're telling players to be aggressive on defense, go for steals, live off of the turnovers, then you're going to get calls like that. And you rely on your players to have that good judgment. I think Joe Hunter thought she could just poke the ball out, but fortunately got a little too much contact there.
Mosley now 3 for 4 in this basketball game from the free throw line. Faith Shelton comes out for Nikki McDonald. Dasha McMillan to inbound. Boise State thought about picking up the pressure, and then we're like, 4 points, the Bronco lead. 6 minutes left in the third. McMillan right in front of her bench. Skip pass. Heath, baseline. A lot of contact. Whistle. There's Trista Hall on the foul.
If I'm Boise State, if I'm a player on Boise State and I'm guarding Camry Heath, I'm going to put so much pressure on her. I don't want to get scored on with a pull-up jumper. That would just drive me insane. You either play all the way off her, force her into shooting a three, or you pressure her to go all the way and score a layup. Like, Camry Heath is living off of it. This is where the coaches can talk to their players all day long, but if they don't execute on the floor, nothing's going to happen.
Momentary fight for the basketball down low, but Hall rips it away. Bringing it forward is Narrow. Mary Kay Narrow, junior from Beaverton.
Unfortunate there, her post player unable to get separation. It was the right read, but just she got stuck.
3 minutes now without a field goal for the Broncos. Camry Heath wants Madison Smith, gets the basketball to her. Now McMillan. Just kidding, now McMillan. Camry Heath. Downlow gets into the corner for Madison Smith, tied up a little bit down low, just 2 on the shot clock. Shot goes up from Dasha McMillan. Unlucky, not a bad look there, honestly, at the end of the shot clock for Air Force.
No, and their offense looked a little discombobulated, but it was funny. You saw the fundamentals kick in when Madison Smith drove and everybody got into the proper positioning, and you're able to get a wide open 3. So Air Force just needs to continue to rely on that, rely on their instincts, and not overthink it on offense.
Ton of contact down low. Belated whistle. Gonna go against Boise State. Air Force bring in Milani Perry. And with that, we will step aside. Boise State, 4 points, their lead, 4 minutes 51 left in the third here on the Mountain West Network. Air Force struggling to get the lead back from Boise State, just 10% from long range for Air Force in this basketball game. Boise State maintaining the lead over the Falcons, 36-32, the Broncos lead. Joe Hunnemer is getting instructions from head coach Chris Gobrecht during that break. Camry Heath, now Nikki McDonald. Tasha McMillan. Air Force doing a good job bringing some of the bigs out of the paint from Boise State. Still finding it hard to get the breakthrough. Camry Heath, tough shot. Short.
And that's a perfect example of a veteran coach making an adjustment mid-game. Camry Heath was having wide open jumpers leading up to this point, and that one was severely challenged. It just looked like Boise State was communicating very well on the defensive end.
4 minutes left in the third. Boise State, this is Lavrovich.
And Air Force doing the same thing here on the defensive end, really making Boise State work. Excellent cut there.
They had a mismatch down low. It was Perry trying to slow down Elodie Lalott.
And Lalott had an excellent rebound, had, you know, a smaller Milani Perry on her and just unable to convert. You just had to focus that little bit more to have those putbacks go in.
Only 7 for Lalott in this basketball game, leading scorer for the Broncos, averaging 10.5 a game. Milani Perry. Joe Hunnemer steps back and steps into that. Big shot for Air Force, that just a 2.
And another design play from Air Force. It's a great call. And with Camry Heath on the bench, you never want your best player out of the game, but it allows an opportunity for other things to open up for other players rather than just going to your bread and butter.
Air Force poked that one away, got caught up under Lavrovich. Air Force emerges, chance to tie or take a lead. Hunnemer with the hot hand for the Falcons. Over to Madison Smith, drives to the right-hand side, and fouled down low. I think that foul is going to go against Trista Hull.
And when Madison Smith started that drive, the entire lane was open because, again, the post players are moving out. And since she's so quick, the Boise State defenders aren't able to get there in time, and she's able to draw the foul. It would be great if she could focus and try to draw the and one, but I mean, nonetheless, it's a good job. Like you're throwing them off. Those post players hate guarding out on the perimeter. Their home is in the key and in the lane. And if Boise State adjusts and steps in 2 to 3 steps, that's when you have the kick out on the drive to the shooters on the perimeter.
Madison Smith knocks them both down. We have got a tie basketball game. 6 for Smith this evening here at Clune Arena. Jada Clark over to Thompson. Falcon fans into this one now. Milani Perry forces a turnover. Perry doesn't have a whole lot of help. Takes that one alone. Unlucky not to see it fall.
And it's a good aggressive move in transition. It was just tough because her teammates were so far behind her that they couldn't even get there for the offensive rebound, but still took away a possession from Boise State.
Awful lot of steps on that move under the basket. Open three, big shot for Boise State, long range, that's Jada Clark.
And Jada Clark coming off the bench. Again, she was a spark in the first half, so Air Force needs to take note of that. She just hit a three. Don't let her become a spark again here in the second half.
Madison Smith thought about a three of her own. Instead, drove the basketball. Air Force resets in the trusted hands of Joe Hunnemer. Hunnemer launches. Bit of an awkward shot, well short. And Jada Clark. She got 7 for the Broncos. Stretching the floor, that's a big shot. If Hull's gonna hit that one, it's gonna be a long night. That's Trista Hull, the 6'2" sophomore from the Great Pacific Northwest.
And again, Clark created that shot. She drove in quickly and was able to kick out. So even though she didn't score that basket, Air Force players have to make the on-court adjustment and keep her contained.
Madison Smith, some contact, steps through it, a little strong.
Here we go, Clark again.
Yep, pushing the tempo. Both commentators' hands on their heads after that one.
We have to look at the replay on this one.
We sure do. Shout out to our fantastic Falcon Vision crew. Yeah, fair enough. Well, some contact.
The crowd still disagrees, but again, third play in a row, Clark has made something happen. She is, she is a speed demon. She is moving up and down the court and probably doesn't have as many minutes on her body at this point in the season as other players. So I mentioned in the first half that at this point in the season, the bench players and people who may not have been the stars in the preseason or in the first half of league, they're coming to light now. You don't really have a scout here on Clark if you're Air Force. That's why I keep, hammering away that you need to make those on-court adjustments.
7-0 run for Boise State over the last minute. Air Force able to arrest that slide. Madison Smith with the 2 for the Falcons. Inside of a minute remains in the third. 44-38, the Bronco lead. Well brought down there by Trista Hull. Basketball out, nice move. Had Joe Hunnemer flying by, but the shot short from Osley.
That's where you got to follow your shot there. If you're a shooter, you know exactly where it's going, and you can try to get that rebound. And I like what Madison Smith is doing right now. She is attacking the defense. See if they're for real. And what she's observed so far in this, 9 minutes and 25 seconds of the third quarter is she's gonna get fouled. And maybe it's only she's gonna draw a foul only 50 to 60% of the time, but that's getting you to the line, getting you free points, hopefully, and it's keeping your team. You just got to hang around until the fourth quarter. Again, like this is gonna just be, a slugfest. You have to grind it out. You're not gonna win the game in the third quarter. You have to wait to the fourth quarter to hopefully get Boise State to a point where they can break on the defensive end.
Air Force did such a great job tying this basketball game back up, and that 7-0 run from Boise as the Broncos look to capitalize toward the end of the third. This is Clark. Clark's just going to slow things down, about a 5-second differential between shot clock and game clock. Clark forced back, shot's got to go up. Does, rims out. Kayla Pilson got her hands on it. Boise State just wanted the extra pass. That'll bring an end to the third. 5 points, the Bronco lead here at Clune Arena. This one's going to get real interesting in the fourth. Do not go anywhere on the Mountain West Network. Just about ready for the start of the fourth quarter here at Clune Arena on the campus of the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs. Boise State, 5 points, their lead over the Air Force Falcons. Good look there at Camry Heath, leading the way for Air Force in this basketball game. Falcons will get the ball to start the fourth. Kayla Pilson to inbound. Roland Vargas, Gene Parker, pleasure to have you along with us on the Mountain West Network.
And Air Force has the right lineup in there. Everybody on the floor can score, is a severe threat to the defense. So I like Coach G's move here to go maybe a little bit smaller lineup, but look at that drive by Kayla Pilson. she cradled the ball, kept it away from the defender, and was able to score. So smart there by Coach G. And now it's only a 1-possessions game. So all you have to do is get a stop, score, another stop, and you're looking at taking the lead.
Yeah, Kayla Pilson saw that space even before she received the basketball. 3 points now Boise State ahead, 44-41. This is Clark for the Broncos. Mosley gets it down low, and earning the 2 in the trip to the line, Abby Muse, 6'3", junior forward.
I'll take the fall for that one. I spoke too soon. Yep. Commentators jinx right there, but Kayla Pilson. So, as I said before, Kayla Pilson has the size, but she's not as big as the other post players on Boise State. So what you have to do there, she has to use her athleticism. Don't try and out-muscle somebody who's already stronger than you. So use your speed, use your athleticism. Don't try and bully her out of the lane, but try to just be quicker than her. And you see there, just that extra effort by Boise State, their second offensive rebound in this offensive possession.
Yeah, Muse pulled down the first, and then Lalott came flying in to earn another possession for the Broncos. This is Clark. Clark's got Camry Heath in front of her. They go down low to Lalott. Joe Huntermer exasperated with that call.
And you can see the frustration building on the Falcons' end with the referees, which I totally get as a player. I may or may not have yelled at a couple of referees in my day, told them my opinion, but you have to understand, if you do that, it's going to make it even worse, and you just have to adjust to how they're calling the game. If they're letting you play, then go for it. If they're not, you have to adjust to that. They're not going to change. So if you're the Falcons, make sure you're in positions early enough. We saw Madison Smith take a charge earlier in the game. It was so blatant that her feet were set. There was no doubt that it was an offensive foul. So if you're Joe Huntermer, you have to live with the call and adjust how you're playing.
Were you constructive in your criticism of the officials in your playing days?
Every now and then.
I got you.
Every now and then. Usually my coaches helped out in that arena, so I wasn't burdened with that a lot.
I went with the compliment sandwich right away. Like, you look really great. That was a terrible call, but please travel safe, you know? Like, yeah. Madison Smith now for Air Force. Osley didn't jump, didn't bite on the pump fake. Able to just snatch that one away from Smith. Quick whistle. Referees confer. Offensive foul.
Yep, it looks like Boise State hooked Kayla Pilson in the air and probably grabbed a hold of her. We'll get a good look here.
Referees.
Yeah, you can see it just a little bit there. You can't take down the defender. You're entitled to your space, but you can't create it by moving somebody else out of the way that blatantly.
Air Force had a lot of ground to cover to get back. Defensively, 8.5 remain in the basketball game. 6-point lead for the Broncos. Joe Huntermer, sophomore guard from the islands of Hawaii. Pilson quickly over to Smith. Smith drives baseline. Whistle.
And smart move by Smith not taking that three-pointer. I think it would have felt rushed and not the best shot at that point in the shot clock. With that baseline drive, her teammates need to drop down to the corner so she can have an open look. She wasn't able to finagle her way into a layup, so you need to drop down, get into your teammate's vision, and be ready to spot up for the three.
Nikki McDonald, Camry Heath. Wilson, 10 on the shot clock for Air Force. This is Smith. Smith again goes on a drive, earns herself a...
And I think Air Force needs to rely a little bit more on Madison Smith doing a good job here. She's able to get around her defender. And again, post players are pushing out, so they're not able to take up all that space in the lane. So I think Madison Smith, but Kayla Pilson's out now, but both of those players can take advantage of driving the lane because they're very quick, they're very direct towards the basket, so that's where they can draw these fouls and get Boise State into a little bit of trouble here, because here's the ideal state. They draw 2 more fouls on Boise State, then they're in the bonus, and you're in the bonus with like 6 minutes left, so you have so many opportunities. Now Boise State's a little bit on their heels.
Okay, Shelton able to tip that one to Camry Heath. Madison Smith will reset things for Air Force. Joe Huntermer just tries to create a little bit of space, a little too strong.
And all black jerseys there for the rebound. You could be the shortest person in America and could have grabbed that. Air Force, again, they need to start putting pressure, a little bit more pressure there on the defense, especially on the offensive glass.
Anna Osley junior from Scottsdale. Basketball over to Lalott. Pavlovich, strong move. 2. She'll go to the line to try to make it 3.
And that's a senior move by a sophomore player. She knew that the Air Force defense was going to be there, sets up and just able to avoid and elevates. Good job there by Boise State. You know, just what I think is happening a little bit here is Boise State is a little bit more poised at this point. So every time Air Force tries to make a run to get back into the game, you know, they're pushing, you know, only down 6 to 4 points. Then Boise State just comes up with something like that, an and 1 or a 3 or just a demoralizing defensive possession. So kudos to Boise State, but if you're Air Force, take it 1 possession at a time.
9 of 15 from the free throw line are Boise State. One of the reasons they haven't been able to extend their lead, which sits at 7, 49-42. Clark skips away from Smith. Lavrovich. Faye Shelton came across to help on the baseline. Osley wanted to go down low.
Excellent screen there by Lalott and creates an opening for herself, unable to convert. But Boise State is doing a better job of being malleable on offense and adjusting to the defense.
Camry Heath went a long way with the basketball. You mentioned it, fouls now starting to add up for the Broncos. Look there at Camry Heath as you see, I believe that was Osley going to be whistled for that one. Couple of changes from Boise State. Natalie Pasco, freshman guard from Danville, into the basketball game. Camry Heath, 12 so far this evening. Make it a Baker's dozen.
And again, we're seeing another opportunity to go to the free throw line from a strong drive. I know I sound like a broken record, but they just need to keep attacking. They're 1 foul away from the bonus, so just keep attacking and that extra effort. That's what I'm talking about. Camry Heath, just that little bit of extra effort is able to get them another possession and takes it away from Boise State, and this is where it matters here in the 4th quarter.
Camry Heath will look to rest those legs. Melanie Perry replaces her. Joe Hunnemer quickly into the corner. Set play from Air Force. Way too strong on the 3 from Madison Smith.
Oh, goodness.
That was an awkward one.
Just fumbled the ball there. That was an excellent underneath out of bounds, but Madison Smith unable to convert. But now she's going to draw the defender out of the lane, and we'll see if Air Force can create based off of that.
6.5 remain in this basketball game. Here is Madison Smith. Couple of Boise State players for company. Falcons looking to force the issue. That was Nikki McDonald, way too strong.
But it's still a good drive. And you know, I think I talked to you about this at halftime. Air Force gets right to the end. They get good shots. They're just not able to convert right now. And I think that's they're almost shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know if it's focus, fatigue, as Joe Huntmer comes away with the turnover here.
Madison Smith going to be whistled for the travel. Basketball game getting a little fragmented last few minutes. Air Force without a field goal in the last 4 minutes. Oh, their last 5 from the floor are the Falcons. Free throws keeping them in this one here in the 4th. They trail by 6. Lavrovich. Nice touch, but spins out. Hunnemer pushes it to Perry. Back to Joe Hunnemer.
And you can see the fatigue setting in for both teams. Both teams like to play fast. They like to get up and down the court. So it's you know, a clashing of worlds. It's kind of the result of you're just running a lot. I mean, I'm getting tired watching all of this running up and down the court.
Osley back in for Boise State. She replaces Lindsay Lavrovich. Mary Kay Narrow brings it up for the Broncos. Quick fire 3 from Boise State. They're able to get a second possession, right back up, and in was Trista Hull. Offensive glass killing Air Force in this game up until this point. Hunnemer pushes a 3.
Yeah, I think Air Force needs to do something to regroup, you know, whether it's a substitution, whether it's a timeout. They're just off kilter here on defense and on offense, and I'd like to see Joe Huntmer or, you know, Cameron Heath or Madison Smith step up, bring everybody together and take control of the squad on the court.
Just 4.5 minutes remain in this basketball game. Falcons need a rally, and they need it soon here on the Mountain West Network. 4.5 minutes remain in the basketball game. Boise State up 8, 51-43. Anna Osley, junior guard from the Valley of the Sun, to get us back underway here at Clune Arena in Colorado Springs, alongside Gene Parker and Nolan Vargas. Air Force struggle to slow down Boise State in this one up until this point. Broncos look down low. It's going to be a shot clock violation.
And Air Force changing up the look just a little bit there on defense. And there's 4 minutes and 13 seconds left. Air Force is only down by 8 points. That can evaporate quickly. Realistically, that's a 3-possession game. So Air Force needs to mentally stay in this game and, you know, trust their coaching staff and understand that they can rapidly get back in this game and take the lead.
51-43, Boise State their lead. Air Force will get some more instructions from head coach Chris Gobrecht. Half a minute came off the clock, score didn't change. 51-43, Boise State lead. It'll be Air Force basketball. Kayla Pilson will get it into the hands of Joe Huntmer.
And look for both the Air Force and Boise State coaching staffs to take a little bit more control of this game. As I said at halftime, this is going to turn into a chess match because it's going to be a close game, and that's where the coaches want to have the most control and dictate what happens on offense and defense.
Strong move down low from Air Force. Boy, how they needed that basket. Nikki McDonald with the left hand. Air Force was in a 2.5-minute scoring drought. Just one of their last 8 from the field are the Falcons. They try to trap Boise State in the corner. Headsy play, though, by Osley.
And Air Force making heads-up play there on the defensive end. Boise State does a pretty good job of handling pressure, but they don't get out of it quickly. So they could really make Air Force pay if they pass quickly out of that trap, but they seem to be taking their time against that. 3
on the way from Boise State. Air Force not able to box out. Fight for it. Falcons emerge with Taylor Britt.
We see again Boise State post players bringing the ball down. I guarantee you they're going to watch those 2 clips where they were stripped off the offensive rebound.
Pilson, Joe Huntmer, 15 on the shot clock right meow. Taylor Britt. Madison Smith. 3 minutes left in this basketball game. Nice extra pass, finds Kayla Pilson. Great move from Air Force there offensively.
And we see the off-ball movement. That's what's making Boise State pay, because they're all turning and watching the player with the ball and not keeping track of their girl.
4 points. The Bronco lead. Boise State looks inside and then out. Kayla Pilson saw that one the whole way, forces another turnover. Quickly up to Madison Smith. Smith back to McDonald. McDonald into the corner for Britt. Britt drives back out to Pilson, knocks it down, huge shot. 2 points now, the Boise State lead. Boise State want a timeout in the worst way. They'll get it. Air Force clawing themselves back into this one. 51-49, Boise State.
And
they lead.
What a game that we're seeing between these 2 teams. Great ball movement here. Kayla Pilson, right place at the right time, making it an easy pass for her teammate to find her here. And another great job kicking it out. Kayla Pilson, I mean, these past 2 plays, she's doing, it's easy to move off the ball. You move a little bit quicker and you're in the right spot. If she would have been 2 to 3 steps down towards the baseline, Taylor Britt could not have found her. But I mean, what a game. This has just been going back and forth all game. You can see both coaches getting really, really into it. They're, again, going to continue to take control. And this is one of the lower scoring games that I've seen for Air Force this season. So a great defensive effort on both ends. So Air Force just has to keep it up. They're not in panic mode yet at all. 2 minutes left in the game. That's plenty of time to not only take the lead, but build the lead. Knock on wood. Every time I've said that they can do something like this, it goes the opposite direction. So I don't want to be held liable.
Falcons 6-0 run over the last 93 seconds here at Clune Arena. Just 2 points, the Boise State lead. Kayla Pilson, so on that last replay, she's got 8 now for the Falcons. Boise State looking to share the basketball. Joe Hunnemer flying in, wins it back. Great play from Hunnemer. This is Taylor Britt. Britt's had a couple of assists to Pilson. Last few possessions for Air Force. Hunnemer calls things out. Less than 2 minutes remain. Air Force down. Just 2. Madison Smith finds Taylor Britt. Britt saw that one kind of caught on her hip a little bit.
But it was still a strong move to the basket. And you know, you could probably argue that she was fouled on that play. There was a lot of contact. I think a smart move by the refs to not call it, especially when it's a game like this. You don't want to hand a team points based off of one of your calls, but they still have plenty of time left on the clock. And executed. And underneath out of bounds play, it looks like that was a 2-pointer, maybe a 3-pointer. I think they called it a 3-pointer, yeah.
One ref made the signal for 2, the other for 3. It will be changed to a 2. 51 apiece here at Clune Arena. Falcons swarm defensively. Smart pass out of it from Boise State. This is Osley. She'll launch a 3 of her own. That was good as soon as it left her hand. Has a little flex for the cameras as well.
And that's what if you're Boise State, that's what you want for your upperclassmen. Rise to the occasion. She hasn't been hitting threes all game long, but she still had that confidence in herself to take that shot.
Air Force trying not to rush a 3 of their own. As we've got 60 seconds left in this basketball game. Boise State lead by 3. This possession, huge.
And Boise State is going to start taking their time or shoot a corner 3 and grab an offensive board there, which is not what you want from Air Force. I was expecting Boise State to really take their time, use all of the 30-second shot clock to force Air Force into, you know, kind of a time crunch there. But kudos to Boise State for staying with their strength, taking open shots, and relying on the big inside presence of Lalott to grab that offensive rebound.
Lalott just 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Place where she has struggled this season. That one falls through. Huge shot, 4 points now. Bronco lead.
And that last free throw was huge, because it forces it into a 2-possession game. So now if you're Air Force, and that's also huge because Air Force wasn't able to advance the ball with the timeout. So they don't have to rush a shot, but they have to get a quick shot here, get a quick make, and get a stop on the defensive end.
Don't rush it, but go really fast. Kayla Pilson, that's about perfect for Air Force. Stop the clock, get a chance to cut into that Boise State lead. Kayla Pilson's got 8 in this game. From the free throw line, 61% this season. Boise State want to make a change. They'll do just that.
And Anna Osley just fouled out of the game, which is really unfortunate there or I should say fortunate for Air Force, honestly, because she was turning into the emotional leader of this Boise State team. So if you can get somebody like that off the court, it pays dividends for you here in this 30 seconds left.
Kayla Pilson too strong on her first. Boise State brought in Lavrovich for the fouled out Anna Osley. Lindsay Lavrovich, sophomore from Gig Harbor. Pilson's able to knock down the second. Boise State take a timeout.
Boise State taking a timeout and advancing the ball. I'm so happy I wasn't on the free throw line. I have to be honest, I was terrible at shooting free throws in college. But so now it's a 1-possession game. What's key here is Boise State can't ride out the clock. I mean, there's a 1-second differential between game clock and shot clock, but still that puts a little bit more pressure on Boise State. So I'm curious to see if Air Force sits back and forces Boise State into a last-second shot, calls a timeout, and advances it, and tries to get the last shot of the game. Or I have a feeling they're going to come out with pressure, try and get a turnover, force a quick shot, and have a little bit more time on the offensive end.
Yeah, we'll see the 5 coming out for Air Force. Boise State ready to go. Jada Clark will inbound the basketball. Sophomore from Richland, Washington. Just at the end of the Boise State bench. 31 seconds remain in the basketball game. Boise State did the tough part, got it in. Air Force flying around, trying to steal. Madison Smith just takes the foul for Air Force.
And I think these last 26 seconds are probably going to extend into 2 to 3 minutes here, because we're going to see Air Force is going to try and get a quick score on the offensive end. If Boise State comes down with the rebound, they'll either call a timeout right away, or Air Force is going to foul right away. Because if you're Air Force, so this is the point of the game where you wish you had those 3 or 4 possessions back. Either getting offensive rebounds or giving up offensive rebounds. So this is where you're just kicking yourself, because if you have 3 or 4 more possessions, that might be 2 or 3 more points for you on the board. So I just want to point out that point, and Mary Kay Narrow knocking down her first free throw, which again pushes it to a 2-possession game.
Got them both, did Narrow. Air Force will take a timeout. They brought in Milani Perry. We'll see what they do after this timeout. 57-52, Boise State's lead inside of 30 seconds left.
So I think they're gonna look for a 3 here. It's gonna have to be a creation and almost an immediate shot. That's what you want. You want your best shooter on the floor to get open immediately. Maybe look to do a flare screen with 2 shooters. So to read the defense, if both defensive players go with the person who got the screen, then the screener is open. So an Air Force with plenty of timeouts left here. So if they don't like the look, what you're telling your inbounder is call a timeout. If there's nothing there, you cannot afford to turn the ball over here. Cannot. You have to get a shot up on this possession.
Milani Perry will look to inbound for the Falcons. Air Force needs some movement. They get that from Nikki McDonald. Kayla Pilson sees that one blocked. McDonald follows up. Makes himself a trip to the line.
And thank God you got the offensive rebound there. Good job on Nikki McDonald, not giving up on the play. Crucial free throws here to try and get it back down. She needs to make 2 in a row to get it back down to a 1-possession game.
Nikki McDonald, senior, out of the Windy City. Got the first. 57-53, 18 seconds exactly remain in this basketball game. Second on the way from McDonald. Got them both. Big shots for Air Force. Boise State with the timeout.
And Boise State out of timeouts now. Air Force still has 3 remaining. Or it looks like Air Force may have called it, unsure. It's going to be a full timeout, so we have a little bit more time. But again, in this situation, I'm also happy I'm not a coach. I don't know if I could draw up a correct play, but if you're Boise State, you just have to get the ball. So you see a lot of teams running a stack, which is just 4 players lined up right behind one another and just getting the ball in. You want to get the ball in to your best free throw shooter, so you can go back and extend it to a 2-possession game, and that's where Air Force is in a really tricky situation. They have to get a stop, or else they risk going back in that 2-possession, so they just continue to stay in that hole, even if they are scoring. So yeah, this is fun. This is really exciting. I think this is what people want to see, and this is what league play is all about.
And that's exactly what you called in the first half as well. This basketball game was going to come down to a grind it out, scrap toward the end. That's exactly what we've got here at Clune Arena. 3 points, the Boise State lead. 18 seconds remaining.
And what's going to shine through in these last few seconds here of the game is the player's ability to execute. You can be a really good player, really athletic, able to create on your own, but if you're not able to execute when a coach tells you what to do at the end of the game, it's really hard to coach you because you're not able to think on your feet and listen to what they're saying. And Boise State almost turning the ball over. Mary Kay Narrow there with the save.
Got very lucky Boise State just happened to have narrow there. Able to keep that one for the Broncos. Air Force forced to foul.
And Air Force let 7 seconds
Yeah.
run, just about 7 seconds run off the clock. That's a lot. I mean, almost half the time. If you're not able to get the steal, you have to foul right away. That you can't let more than 5 seconds run off the clock.
That one hung up on the front rim a while, but drops for Mary Kay Narrow, junior from Beaverton. Went to Beaverton High School, home of the
Beavers.
Yep. What else would it be? 5 points, the Boise State lead. Awfully late now for Air Force, just 11.8 remain in this basketball game. If you're Air Force here, what do? Just a shot and then hope you can create something off the ensuing inbound?
Yeah, I think it's a quick shot, try to get a shot up within 5 seconds of getting the ball. Because if you do that and score, let's say they Boise State inbounds quickly, maybe best case scenario you get a steal and you're able to get that back, but maybe you foul, you still have a lot of time left to score, because what you can't do is take 10 seconds and then take another 2 seconds to foul, because, you know, by my math, you're going to run out of time there. So you have to score quickly. This is where out-of-bounds execution, this is why you practice these situations, you know, throughout the week and throughout the season, is just, hey, do your job, set your screen, take the shot when it's open.
Perry to McDonald. Perry gets it back. 3 blocked by Narrow. She runs it into the corner, passes it out, and that should be just about that here at Clune Arena. The Boise State Broncos, just like they did toward the end of January, able to earn a 5-point win over the United States Air Force Academy. 59-54. Boise State comes into Clune Arena and gets the victory. Don't go anywhere. The post-game show will wrap this one up from Clune Arena on the Mountain West Network. Next. For the second time this season in Mountain West Conference play, Boise State earns a 5-point victory over the United States Air Force Academy Falcons, this time at Clune Arena in Colorado Springs on the campus of Air Force. Alongside Gene Parker, I'm Roland Vargas. And Gene, Air Force fought mightily to get back in that basketball game, tied it up a couple times, but in the end, just not enough to overcome Boise State. And
I said it during the broadcast, it's those mistakes that were made in the first half, early in the third quarter, where you wish, you know, you look back and they're going to look back on film and say, gosh, I wish I would have had this possession back. I wish I would have boxed out or gone for the offensive rebound. So that's where it really takes effect down the stretch. And kudos to Boise State, because they did an excellent job executing down the stretch. But I mean, what a fight, what a game. It was really exciting to watch. Wish it could have gone Air Force's way, but excellent job on both sides.
And it went exactly how you predicted, a drawn down scrap, especially toward the end there. Air Force was right in it, just couldn't get that breakthrough. We'll take a look at some of the stats from this one. The turnovers really added up for Boise State, and I mean to the tune of 21 of them in this game, but they were able to edge Air Force. That 3-point margin key for the Broncos.
And I think if you're looking at this stat line and didn't know the score, I mean, it's exactly how the game went. It could have gone either way. Air Force with only 5 turnovers. That's something to celebrate through this game. So I think if you're Coach G, if your team is really taking this loss hard, you have to look at that stat and say, hey, we didn't get the job done, but we didn't turn the ball over. So we know we can build from there. That 3-point percentage, 7%, you know, you're not going to have the best shooting night every single night, but I think the biggest thing here is rebounds. 47-28, almost a 20 rebound differential. That's really tough to overcome down the stretch.
And that size was always going to be key for Boise State, certainly was there on the glass. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from this basketball game. Air Force, like we've been saying, able to hang in it, but just too much. Anna Osley, Boise State shared the scoring around. Osley ended up with 11 to lead the Broncos, and their presence down low was felt all game long.
And I think, as we were saying throughout the broadcast, Boise State and Air Force did a good job of adjusting who's got the hot hand. It changed throughout the game. As you see, Kayla Pilson, she really came alive towards the end of the game there with her off-ball movement, and we see another highlight here, just getting right into the view of Taylor Britt. And I think this is also a positive note from the game that Air Force can take away and really try to focus on here and really making something out of nothing. And it looks like that was a 2-pointer, counted as a 3. But Air Force, I think what you have to build on is your turnovers and also moving without the ball. And we just look down here at the stretch of Boise State taking what the defense is giving them and stepping outside of their comfort zone and making threes down the stretch, which really made a difference for them. So, I mean, a really exciting league game, but Air Force is going to have to go back a little bit to the drawing board and make sure they're executing throughout the game, not just when it matters in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, in the end, Air Force just physically worn down by that mismatch all over the court tonight from Boise State. Boise State come into Clune Arena. They get a 5-point lead for Air Force. Next up, they travel up to Fort Collins on Saturday. Then they'll return to Clune Arena on Thursday, the 23rd of February, as they host New Mexico at 11 a.m. Mountain. That's 7 a.m. on the islands of Hawaii here on the Mountain West Network. Normal service will be resumed. Gene Parker and Rachel Galligan on the call for that one. For our entire Falcon Vision crew and my broadcast partner, Gene Parker, I'm Roland Vargas. Air Force fall 59-54 to Boise State.